Post-match chat is live. We've just seen the first one-day international between India and England, and India, against all the odds, have won that game. I'm still not quite sure how it's happened. They didn't so much win the game as England kind of gifted it to them, to be honest with you, because that was one of the worst batting collapses I've seen. I've watched Pakistani cricket most of my life. That was unbelievable. There were some great performances from India. We're going to break it down. India have taken the lead for the first time on this tour. India lost the first test match. They lost the first 2020, but they won the first one-day international. That too, having lost the toss and being put into bat. So they've defended a total. Congratulations to India. Congratulations to Krunal Pandey, who's going to be coming up a lot today, I promise you, as well as Johnny Bairstow, as well as Moeen Ali. We're going to talk about loads of players, and we're going to talk to them. Who I'm going to talk to are my friends and my special guest. As always, I'm Aatif Nawaz, joined by Anam Nadeem, Armaan Kirmani, and our very, very special guest today, Sritama Panda. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. Thank you, Sritama, for joining us. India, what a win from out of nowhere. Did you see that coming?
Totally no. No, I mean, it was... I think that Johnny Bairstow, like after Johnny Bairstow got out, there was a massive collapse. Even then, I did not realize that they are going to lose till the point England lost their 7th wicket. I was so set, like they have, they have a foundation here and probably they are going to win. I mean, but then looking at England and India's record, it's not really surprising. Like I'm talking about the recent years. It's not really...
We're talking about the world champions here, Sritama, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I get it. They're in India. I get it. India have momentum, all that kind of stuff. Anam, we're talking about the world champions. Surely nobody saw that. I mean, Armaan, I'm going to talk to in a minute, Mr. 3-0. He's already got his prediction wrong. But anyway, I really thought England would cruise at various points, even during the game, even 75% through the game. ये तो किसी ने नहीं देखा कि होने वाला था, surely.
मुझे पक्का यकीन था. मैंने 3-0 प्रेडिक्ट किया हुआ था, तो मुझे तो था कि भाई प्रेडिक्शन गलत नहीं हो सकती. I have to win. India has to win this match. मेरी प्रेडिक्शन ना गलत हो जाए. But yeah, after the onslaught, 13 ओवर तक तो कोई चक्कर ही नहीं था. लग ही नहीं रहा था कि इंडिया जो है दिल में एक कम बैक इन दिस मैच. But it's been a match of seesaw वाला सीन रहा है ना. जब इंडिया बैटिंग कर रहा था तब भी हमने देखा कि पहले इंडिया थोड़ा सा सही जा रहा था, फिर इंग्लैंड केम बैक इन द मैच, देन अगेन विद द पार्टनरशिप व्हिच वी विल ऑब्वियसली हाईलाइट एज वेल. तो वही सीन इंग्लैंड की बैटिंग में भी हुआ है. एंड अजीब बात ये कि जब तक जेसन रॉय आउट नहीं हुआ था तब तक वो पिछली इनिंग से स्कोर चला आ रहा था, कोई भी आउट नहीं हुआ था और मार पड़ी जा रही थी. सो एक उस तरह वाला सीन भी है कि पता नहीं उस वक्त विकेट में क्या था कि इतनी ज्यादा घंटी पड़ रही थी.
Yeah, I mean, Armaan, we won't get granular yet. We will eventually get granular for sure. But on the surface, England win the toss, put India into bat, 317. That's not a winning score, surely. You didn't think that was a winning score, surely?
To be honest with you, they ended the innings with a bit of momentum, but 317, definitely, on an Indian wicket, and that was a very good batting wicket. Please don't make any excuses today. I don't want to hear anything about the wicket. They played awfully in the second half of the game. They played pretty awfully in the second half of their first innings as well. England almost, all these great bowlers, without archers, they can't bowl at the death. England were pretty appalling in a lot of this game in the decisive moments, and somehow India have. I was going to say snuck home. They didn't sneak home. They won by 66 runs. They had a convincing victory. I don't know how that's happened, but it has.
I know. I'm still trying to process it. I can't believe it. It really does feel like a gift from out of nowhere. We're going to break it down properly. But before that, of course, I've got to get your moments of the day. Let's start with our special guest today. Sritama, what was your moment of the day?
I mean, it's got to be Krunal Pandya just choking up during the, just after his innings. I mean, that was... It struck a chord with me. And as much as we have fought the idea of Krunal Pandya in ODIs, as much as we have not felt the same way in T20I, but then in ODIs, I never felt that Krunal Pandya can be this good. And I love the fact that he's proven most of the people wrong. Some people have actually rooted for him. And this was because of what happened personally in his life. Like we have seen cricketers, Siraj, being very emotional in Australia. It's so human, we see them as heroes, these cricketers, and then they just play like heroes on the field, and then they are just human like us. It just struck a chord with me. It was brilliant. Moment of the game.
It was a really, really
After
emotional
fantastic
interview.
innings. I mean, that was
I thought I was
India's
going to miss
future.
it. The interview. I very rarely miss those. I very rarely catch those mid-innings interviews. You know, it's usually a time to get a toilet break, go make some samosas, go make some tea. But you know, I happened to catch it, and you know, it was really emotional. It got me. Like, you know, the thing. I had to take a minute just to process it. I mean, here's a guy. He lost his father 6 weeks ago, and in the intervening period, he's been playing the Vijay Hazara trophies, averaging 122 with a strike rate of 120. Like, he really had to force his way into that Indian team. Smashes a beautiful 50 from 50 and 26 balls he got as well. Another new Indian debutant doing that. It's really weird to think of him as a debutant. I feel like I've been watching Krunal Pandya play for like 10 years between the IPL, but it was really, really emotional. If you want,
And the partnership with KL Rahul, it was like, and KL Rahul.
Oh, I think I've lost. Everybody for a second. No, everybody's back. We're all good. Sorry about that, guys. Anam, tell me a little bit. Feel free to chime in on Krunal Pandya if you want as well, by the way. But tell me also your moment of the day.
यार मेरा भी यही है कृणाल पांड्या वाला एंड फ्रॉम द बिगिनिंग जब उसको उसकी कैप मिली हार्दिक उसका छोटा भाई है उसने उसको कैप दी वो भी बहुत इमोशनल मोमेंट था एंड यहाँ पे आई नीड टू गिव माय फ्रेंड क्लाइव वी ऑल नो हिम एज वनीला वाला ऑन ट्विटर वो बहुत टाइम से एक तो वो मुंबई इंडियंस का सबसे बड़ा फैन है माइकल वॉन से पहले शायद माइकल वॉन बाद में आता है क्लाइव पहले आता है वो बहुत देर से इस चीज पे था कि भाई कृणाल को व्हाइट बॉल क्रिकेट में रेगुलरली इंडिया को खिलाना चाहिए बट आई गेस स्पेस नहीं थी now that Jadeja is not there, so I think they have that luxury to bring in Krunal Pandya in the 11 as well. So he's proved everybody. अगर कोई उसके अगेंस्ट था उनको भी उसने गलत प्रूव कर दिया है और जो उसके केस के हक में बोल रहे थे कि कृणाल नीड्स टू बी इन द टीम उनको भी उसने सही प्रूव कर दिया कि हाँ भाई आई हैव द पोटेंशियल विद बैट probably with the ball he would have expected a little better figures but then जिस वक्त वो इतनी ज्यादा दोनों ऑन सॉन्ग थे ओपनर्स और उस वक्त थोड़ी सी मार पड़ गई बट आई थिंक ही जनरली क्लाइव जैसे बोलता है मैं उसकी ट्विटर फीड पे भी चेक करी थी कि क्या बोलता रहता है तो उसके मुताबिक कृणाल जो है वो उसकी बॉलिंग उसका एक्स फैक्टर है बैटिंग में उसको इम्प्रूव करने की जरूरत है बट आज इट वाज द अदर वे अराउंड
Yeah, I think definitely. I think everybody will agree with you. It was really attractive innings to watch. I mean, people will get lost in the emotion, but he was just belligerent. The way he was hitting the ball with such disrespect. There was a shot that he just spanked right back over. The bowlers had absolutely no respect for Tom Curran. Just no problem at all. I'm going to smack you off a length straight back down the ground. It was really a really nice innings to watch. और राहुल की भी बात करेंगे. बेफिक्र हो भाई. I'm team KL Rahul. We're going to talk about him for sure. Armaan, what was your moment of the match? Oh, Armaan, have I still got you?
अरमान का फ्रेम फ्रीज हो गया लग रहा है
नहीं वापस आ गया. Don't worry, Armaan. What was your moment of the match?
Don't worry, my moment of the day. Okay, so it's kind of related to Krunal, but I'm going to come from a different angle. I'm going to go for the moment where I believe it was Dhawan who played a lofted shot and he went straight down the throat of Moeen Ali in the deep, and he just sort of dropped basically a sitter. It's a results-orientated format that we're doing post-match. Oh, India is Zabardast victory or something about Zabardast. They were in a big trouble today in that first innings. They lost wickets at the wrong time. They could have been, severely under par at somewhere about 250 with the way they were going if it wasn't for Krunal's innings. But I'm at the moment of the day. The thing I want to highlight is the amazing consistencies these debutants are showing for India. We've talked about it before. We've seen Ishan Kishan do it. We've seen SKY do it. Now we're seeing this Krunal Pandya do it. And at the highest stage of international cricket. And then you have someone like Moeen Ali from England who didn't get selected for the 5 T20 internationals, comes back in almost like a comeback. We've been talking about him. He must play. Comes in and drops a sitter. And, he made up for it later. He took a catch. He was okay with the bat. He's okay with the ball. But that there, I think, sums up the difference between the intensity of the two teams. England have had a long tour in India. Their players, when they're making their comeback, they're not taking their chances. Indian players, they're coming in like they are hungry. And we can see these young players are performing every single time. So credit to Krunal. And I think, that sums up the difference between the two teams today.
Yeah, and India happy to take risks as well. This is the one thing that's been consistent. Virat Kohli and his team mixing things up, different batting orders, different lineups, different players. Owen Morgan being very, very firm with his 11, not really changing anything. India obviously gave two debuts as well today. Really, properly experimenting, and they tend to do that with the one-day international format as well. But yeah, as Armaan says, Sritama, India were in trouble for a while. They lost wickets at all the wrong times. And I keep thinking of Shikhar Dhawan's innings, right? Most of the time when you get a 90 score, people are like, well done, good job. 90 is great, fantastic. He got 90, and I believe it was sort of 120 balls, something like that, 110 balls, something like that, at less than 100 strikes.
He got 90, I think, of 95 deliveries, I think. 91. So, he went straight to 91 of 95 deliveries.
Acha, I've just double checked. He ended with 98 of 106 deliveries, right?
Yeah. So there was a difference there because he was nervous 90s. It happens. It's
like if England had batted with a little bit of, if I dare say, competence, because I think it's fair to call that batting performance incompetent in the way that most of the batsmen got out. Had they batted with a little bit more competence, 317 should not be a winning score. And if you go back to 317, you can't point the finger at Pandya. You can't point the finger at Rahul. They both got runs at decent strike rates at the end of the innings. Could you point the finger at Shikhar Dhawan? They won, so we won't. But had they lost,
there would have been talks, definitely, if India lost. Because there was a slowdown, not a long slowdown. That would be too harsh on him because he reached from 91 to 98 within 11 balls, right? 11 balls. So it's not like a real slowdown. It was looking more, there were like many dots. KL Rahul played some dots. He was trying to rotate the strike. I called him KL rotational for that reason. He was trying to, he was helping Dhawan. He was so, he was like more, I think he hit one boundary during that period. He was trying to rotate. And I think Shikhar Dhawan would have been blamed. And I really like that point, the difference between India's debutants and, the Moeen Ali point, like he's making a comeback and there was no fire there. That's the difference. It's such a good point. I'm like taken by that point. It's a very good point.
It's interesting. We can talk about that, and we'll talk about Armaan. बाकी बहुत से जबरदस्त point लेके आता है. मैं क्या बता सकता हूँ?
बिल्कुल बहुत सही point है वो.
जितनी तारीफ इसकी करे कम है. लेकिन अच्छा. So here's the thing. Like, we'll talk about Moeen Ali and whether it's a fire issue, whether it's a trust issue. Maybe he feels, maybe there's something going on in his head. I actually didn't read too much into his performance. I feel like he doesn't have as much to prove as the debutants do in theory because they've got a very aggressive and a very packed Indian lineup, a very competitive Indian lineup to break into. But I'd love to talk a little bit more about this Shikhar Dhawan thing. Anam, is this just a case of jeet ke koi baat nahi, phir koi baat nahi, strike rate apni koi masla nahi hai, lekin haarte to phir phanti padti. What do you think, Anam?
तो हाँ, तो फिर रोहित शर्मा की भी तो इनिंग्स की बात करनी चाहिए ना. शर्मा जी ने भी कितने 40 प्लस बॉल्स खेल के 28 रन ही बनाए थे. तो आई थिंक ऊपर से जब फिर खैर कोहली ने बाद में इससे बात की थी पोस्ट मैच में कि जी थोड़ी सी विकेट ट्रिकी थी और उनके लिए बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट था कि दोनों ओपनर्स जो हैं एक हेल्दी स्टार्ट दें. सो आई गेस प्रॉब्ली उनको इंग्लैंड की तरह इतना मसला नहीं था कि उनका मिडिल ऑर्डर जो इंडिया का है वो ज्यादा स्टेबल है. और इंग्लैंड की अगर हम बात करें तो बहुत से लोगों ने ये बात की, आई एम श्योर यू वुड हैव सीन इट एज वेल, जो रूट मिसिंग था. तो वो एक स्टेबिलिटी फैक्टर जो था इंग्लैंड के लिए, जब ऊपर फायर पावर आ गई एंड वो स्टेबिलिटी फैक्टर नहीं था. इंडिया ऑन द अदर हैंड हैड दैट लग्जरी कि अगर ओपनर्स ने इतना अच्छा नहीं भी किया या वो स्लो खेले हैं तो नीचे से फायर पावर है. हार्दिक पांड्या है, उसके बाद श्रेयस अय्यर. आई डोंट नो, श्रेयस अय्यर का समझ नहीं आती है कि वो क्या चाहता है. वो शायद आई डोंट नो, आई कांट से फॉर श्योर कि श्रेयस अय्यर किस मोड में बैटिंग करता है,
क्या चाहता है श्रेयस,
क्या चाहता है श्रेयस अय्यर. तो आई थिंक वो फैक्टर है कि इंडिया के पास लग्जरी थी. अगर हार जाते तो फिर बात जरूर होती, स्ट्राइक रेट के ऊपर बात आती कि हाँ जी ऊपर से किसी ने इतना अच्छा कैपिटलाइज नहीं किया और इस वजह से इंडिया का टोटल जहाँ होना चाहिए था 350 प्लस अगर हो सकता था वो नहीं बन सका.
I mean, Armaan, I think you're going to follow my train of thought here. People did talk about Joe Root, but I kind of reject that Joe Root argument personally because Joe Root is, people say, oh, he's a stabilizing influence. You need a stabilizing player in the 50-over game. But you're a strike rate man. You got to respect, Johnny Bairstow going at, super rate. He got to 60 something balls for his 90 odd runs. Like, he was going at a very good strike rate, significantly better than Shikhar Dhawan on the same pitch. Okay. England are chasing, so they've got that kind of a tactical advantage theoretically, and they had the momentum with them. And Jason Roy, who started slowly but picked it up because he's got confidence from the other side. Like, surely it's just a cop out from the England batsman who played a sequence of, let's be honest, disgusting shots to get out. Right, a sequence of disgusting shots. Only Moeen Ali for me got a good ball from Bhuvneshwar Kumar. Only Moeen Ali got a good ball to get out. Everybody else gifted their wicket. Ben Stokes, disgusting all the way down. Owen Morgan, what are you doing? It made me physically angry to watch them perform like that. It just didn't look like a contest at that point. It wasn't India got them out, they got themselves out. Is it a cop out for them to say, oh, what we really did was we needed Joe Root there to stabilize the middle order? What do you think, Armaan?
I think there's confused minds. It's pretty standard. जब ये गोरे हारते हैं तो excuses शुरू हो जाते हैं. जो रूट ले आओ, आप आर्चर ले आओ, आप एलिस्टर कुक ले आओ, आप नासिर हुसैन ले आओ, बच नहीं सकते. You need to understand this is a game of cricket. Okay? You have to have the right strategy. Why are you batting at 11 and 10 runs on over and the first 15 and then collapsing? It shows that there's a scrambled mind. They're coming off the T20s. They don't know how to build an innings. They don't know how to consolidate once they lose wickets. Their middle order was a pudding in the T20s. They got destroyed 2 times, even though India were chasing in the T20s as well. Now we're coming into the ODIs. They've collapsed consistently in the Test series, making the excuses for the wickets. So ultimately, the English sort of coaching setup, the management setup, the captaincy, they really need to rethink how they need to bat in subcontinental conditions. It doesn't matter what format it is. Whatever format you give them, they're going to find some sort of excuse. When you're not in the team, you're always an amazing player. It's nonsense. England, you just need to learn how to play in the subcontinent. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, and I agree with you. And take some responsibility as well, rather than saying, oh, we were missing this, we were missing that. I mean, you're telling me Ben Stokes, Owen Morgan, Joss Butler, Sam Billings, these are all excellent cricket players. They should be able to get runs. They shouldn't be getting knocked over. Now, Sritama, tell me, am I being a little bit unfair to India's bowlers when I say that England gifted their wickets? Because obviously, the figures look good. I mean, Prasidh Krishna on debut, he got dispatched in his early overs, came back very strongly, got 4 wickets. Shardul Thakur, exactly the same. He went heavy in his first few overs. Then he bowled that over where he got those 2 crucial wickets. Again, like Shardul Thakur only likes to take wickets in 2s. I mean, am I being a little bit unfair to the bowlers? Did they really bowl England out, or were they a little bit fortuitous because of the shot selection that England pursued?
No, there was a luck factor there, definitely. I mean, even England got those chances. That one chance that they missed. Otherwise, I think they took those chances well, like they delivered. तो वहाँ पे कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं था, बट इंडिया लाइक भुवनेश्वर कुमार, ओ माय गॉड, एंड आई भुवनेश्वर कुमार को तो कुछ नहीं बोल सकते. He is like I mean, there was a time when people used to talk about his dying pace. I mean, he doesn't need pace if he's so accurate. Apart from Bhuvi, I think my second favorite bowler in this game was totally okay. I'm so sorry. My second favorite bowler was Shardul Thakur. I mean, like Bhuvi deals in swing, he deals with the slowers. I mean, Shardul Thakur is one of the most undermined, not underrated, undermined cricketers, bowlers. And he has proven everyone wrong across formats. He's been so good. So otherwise, I would say there was a luck factor involved, except Bhuvi, who was accurate. I think England just they should have they don't consider. I think there's a lack of understanding in their gameplay, which again I don't agree with your point, the Joe Root point, because I have been rooting for Joe Root since forever. I think he is second to Steve Smith when it comes to across formats batsmen, because Steve Smith has that edge in test that nobody can match. So there's Joe Root comes in here. Since England revolutionized their ODI game, because they had a shameful exit in 2015, after that, Joe Root has been the best batsman, He's been the 3rd highest run scorer. But for, there's a threshold of 3,000 runs or even 1,000 runs. He has the best average and a pretty good strike rate. Across formats in like T20s and ODIs, it's Joss Butler, but Joe Root in ODIs. I know you cannot be dependent on a single player and you cannot give it as an excuse, but as a player, Joe Root, I would have him in my ODI team. If you have Joe Root, there's no other number 3 for me in ODIs.
No, I accept that. I accept that Joe Root is a fantastic player and he could strengthen the England team. But they have like a Root-esque player in David Milan who's with the team, right? If they really want to use him, I'm not saying he's as good as he's like a like-for-like replacement, but he's a similar kind of player. He likes to build an innings. He likes to anchor an innings, and obviously he's very classy. He can accelerate, all that kind of stuff, right? And he's got some momentum coming off the last T20. So they had that option, but they didn't use him and they'd rather kind of lean on this excuse. The other thing that England got massively wrong for me, Anam, and I'd like you to delve into this for me a little bit, was their death bowling. भूल गए death पे कैसे bowling कराते हैं? Yorker से allergy है, क्या हो गया? Why are we not bowling Yorkers anymore? What is the issue? I understand it's a high margin of error, a low margin of error, I beg your pardon, because over pitch and it's a full toss, back it up is too short or half volley or in the slot. Hate the slot. इंग्लैंड की डेथ बॉलिंग को क्या तकलीफ है? जॉर्डन पे पहले जॉर्डन था, कहते जॉर्डन नहीं है, जॉर्डन की पहले इकोनॉमी पता नहीं कहां पहुंची हुई है. Archer didn't look particularly special at the death in the last T20. So what's wrong with England's death bowling on him?
पता नहीं क्या सीन है. भूल गए कैसे कराते हैं, यॉर्कर्स कैसे कराते हैं. हम लोगों से बात कर ले, हम बता देंगे. ठीक है, थोड़ी बहुत बॉलिंग करा लेते हैं, हम भी बता सकते हैं कि यार कुछ तो कर लो यॉर्कर्स के बारे में. और बीच में एक जगह डिस्कशन भी कर रहा था ओवेन मॉर्गन और मार्क वुड की कोई डिस्कशन चल रही थी, तो कमेंटेटर्स बोल रहे थे कि शायद ये उसको बता रहा है कि हमने यॉर्कर्स करानी है एंड पे और कुछ इस तरह से बॉलिंग प्लान होना चाहिए, बट वो एग्जीक्यूशन में कहीं नजर नहीं आया, जो कि बहुत अजीब बात है. और एक और चीज है, मुझे लगता है कि इंग्लैंड को भी कोई डेब्यूटांट्स खिलाने चाहिए. हो सकता है फिर सीन चेंज हो जाए. है इनके स्क्वाड में कोई डेब्यूटांट्स? कौन है? आई थिंक सारे डेब्यूटांट तो कोई भी नहीं है ना, सारे खेल चुके हैं.
Just
they're missing out.
There's no bowlers, just Livingston. That's it.
Livingston is definitely worth giving a go for me. I've been rooting for Livingston since the Big Bash, where he made a big bash, big splash, I guess, in the Big Bash. Armaan, is there any part of me? Because I feel like I'm going a little bit hard on England today, but I really feel like they've earned it. They really, for me, threw that game away at 135 for no wicket. They've got that game won. They've got a required rate of something like 4 point something to chase. That for them to get all out in the way that they did. We're talking about top edges to fielders at mid wicket. We're talking about lofted cover drives straight into the hands of the extra cover fielder. We're talking about really, really, really soft dismissals. That was appalling. Surely you will back me on this.
100%. And there was an article by Jonathan Agnew that came out after the T20 series, where he was like, oh, the rest of the world are going to fear England and India because this is like the precursor to the World Cup final. It's like a dress rehearsal. This was in the final T20. But the only thing I can say is, as a Pakistani fan and as a world cricket fan, I don't think any team is going to be fearing England and India because of the inconsistencies both teams have shown. They've shown clear weaknesses. And this is actually a really big opportunity for the rest of the world's teams to close the gap, because England have been dominant in the white ball format. India at home are dominant. The World Cup is on the horizon. England definitely, to just answer your point, look, you deserve to give them a hard time. Once you have that start in the innings, there's absolutely no chance. As we said earlier, I think off the show, India at one point were 20-1 on the bookies to win this game. So when England lose from a position of dominance like that, for sure. But having said that, we have to acknowledge that these teams are overrated, overhyped, and the rest of the world's teams are not given the credit that they are now due. This World Cup will be open. Teams like New Zealand, teams like West Indies, they are showing a lot of strength in home conditions, and now it's down to them to be able to perform in India. By the way, I'm pretty sure West Indies have already won a World Cup in the T20s on Indian soil before. They've also won a T20 World Cup after that. So the point I want to make is, there is a little bit of drama going on, so we don't need to be that harsh. We should just accept that these two teams are not as good as the media is necessarily making them out to be, and there's a lot of room for improvements in both sides. And England today, well, the writing's on the wall. They've got to go back to the drawing board, I'm afraid.
So based on what you saw today, Armaan, I'm just going to throw this one back at you. Based on what you're saying, would you be willing to, if you're a gambling man, would you put your money, and there was an option where you could put your money on India, England, or anybody except India, England, would you take that latter bet?
मैं पैसे नहीं डालता, लेकिन मैं बिरयानी जरूर डाल दूंगा। और जो हमारी लास्ट गेस्ट थी अनुष्का जी, उन्होंने कहा था वो पापड़ी चाट खाती हैं, तो मैं किसी की भी साथ दुनिया में तैयार हूं एक बिरयानी और पापड़ी चाट की बेट लगाने के लिए कि दोनों इंग्लैंड और इंडिया नहीं जीतती है वर्ल्ड कप। किसको लेना है? कम ऑन।
Excellent. There we go. Open challenge from Armaan Kirmani. You can find his Twitter handles on screen, so just reach out. He'll take your bet, no problem at all.
सबसे बिरयानी खाऊंगा।
Sabse biryani khana, of course, please. Is there? I mean, is there a? What do India take from this as well, Sritama? Has this created more problems for them in the sense that do they now have to find room for, do they have to find room for Pandya in the T20 squad? Do they leave out one Pandya to bring in the other Pandya? Do they play both Pandyas? And if so, do they drop somebody else? Do they reward Shardul Thakur for being quite consistent? Do they just discard Natarajan, and Krishna, who played today? Like they've got like a really difficult time. They're giving themselves more and more headaches by playing all these players.
Yeah, it's a good headache, but it's again a headache. So problem तो है, मतलब अगर T20 World Cup को देखें तो I think they should stick. अभी कृणाल पांड्या तक नहीं जाना चाहिए इस मोमेंट पे. अगर जाते हैं like if he performs like really good, like इतना अच्छा कि एकदम मतलब उसको ड्रॉप अभी नहीं कर सकते तो वापस ले लो उसको T20 स्क्वाड में. But once Ravindra Jadeja comes back, a lot of answers will be right there, and people have to accept, why these new players are playing so well. They are giving their heart and soul because they know they're fighting for a place, because they know they are part of India's second team and not first team. Like Washington Sundar gets a chance because of his batting, and he's so good. He's so good. He was so good in Australia. He's so good in India. But once Ravindra Jadeja comes in, that place is his. It's his place. I mean, some players like Shardul Thakur, I will feel so bad for him, but maybe he'll have to take a back seat because there's Jasprit Bumrah, and Natarajan again. If it's a choice between Bumrah and Natarajan is very good. He's like punched above his weight, I would say. But, I mean, they are going to go with the A team. They're like one or two players can make it from the B team, but it's going to be, because India know there's going to be a lot of competition. The last time wasn't easy. This time is not going to be easy either. There's no home advantage of that sort because New Zealand beat them on a ranked turner in Nagpur. 79 all out. I mean, anything can happen. It's T20 World Cup. It's as open as it can be. And West Indies are... So India will go with their top team. Definitely. I don't think they'll experiment a bit. They have been. But that's due to injuries.
I think India in the World Cup, in the World T20, will do what England are doing now and stick to their best team. But what I think India are doing correctly right now is experimenting, trying out different combinations. Virat Kohli's already gone on record and said, "Hey, I'm going to be opening for RCB in the IPL." I think the IPL is going to be more decisive to the selection of the World T20 team. Listen, we're running out of time. It's been fun so far. Predictions for the next games. Anam with 100% record so far. Myself and Armaan have got one wrong. Anam, who is winning tomorrow? The next game's on Friday, I beg your pardon. It's not tomorrow, it's on Friday.
So, yeah, I already predicted 3-0. So I'm going to stick with that. I think India is going to win on Friday as well.
India's going to win on Friday as well. Anam's going for a 2-0 lead for India. Series win, unassailable lead. Yeah, that's what Anam's going for. Zabardast. Armaan, is that the way it's going to go? Is India going to make it an unassailable lead, or is England going to come back with a bang? Because they kind of have to.
यार इंग्लैंड का मूड ही नहीं है क्रिकेट खेलने का, सीधी बात मैं बोल रहा हूँ. उनका कोई मूड नहीं है. इनको भेजो घर पे, ब्रिटिश एयरवेज की फ्लाइट अरेंज करो स्पेशल कोविड वाली. इनके कोई हालात नहीं है. लेकिन मैं फिर भी 2-1 इंग्लैंड प्रेडिक्ट करूंगा because I have to stick with my policy. I cannot pick India to win a game. So, I have to keep it open and entertaining for the thousands and millions of our fans that are watching. वरना कोई मजा ही नहीं है. हमने कह दिया इंडिया जीत गए तो रिजल्ट ही सही है. 6 in a row कर दिया उन्होंने. She's going for 7 in a row. तो क्या फायदा है यहाँ पे prediction का यार?
Okay, 2-1. And you know what, we joke about it, but it has been a really long tour for England. They've been on the road more than any other team in the world right now. So there probably is an element of fatigue, and I just want to go home. I don't want to assume because I don't know what's going on in Ben Stokes' head, but
4 घंटे लगाए हैं उन्होंने 50 ओवर कराने में. 4 घंटे 12 मिनट.
Yes. तो exactly. 4 घंटे, like 8 घंटे होना था अगर वो पूरे अपने ओवर खेलते.
एक सेकंड आदित्य जी. They're tired, yeah. Half these players are going to be playing IPL. They're not even going home. क्या बकवास है? बड़े
Listen,
थके हुए हैं।
nothing.
आओ तो मुझे जरा 4-5
nothing.
सेकंड मैं भी दिखाता हूँ मैं कितना थक जाता हूँ.
Dekho, I gotta tell you, right? There is nothing. I recommend this to all of you that are watching. There is nothing more energizing than US dollars. It's the best, most energizing thing in the world. All your fatigue just disappears. That's just a joke.
Make
Not having a go at
guys. Do not make excuses for these guys. They've got no passion left to play for England. They're tired because of the management, because of the tactics. They're going to be so energetic in 2 weeks' time when they're running around in the IPL and trying their best to get that next contract. Don't worry about it.
Interesting. Let's see how that all goes down. And Sritama, and I've got to say once more, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been lovely to have you on the show. Tell me, how do you see the next match in the series going?
Yeah, thank you. Thanks a lot. I would say nature has a way to balance, maintain a balance. I think the chasing team will win. I can't say who will win, but I'm sure that the chasing team will win. I'm just going a little bit on England's side because, see, again, Moeen Ali is a very important part of the team. We should also consider that he was in isolation in Sri Lanka for over 2 weeks, I think, because the second, he was tested positive for the, the UK strain of the virus. So there was a lot of lot of stress going on for Moeen Ali, which we don't consider. We don't talk about it as much. So, yeah, I mean, we are going to see something special from Moeen Ali, I feel.
Interesting.
So, I hope that England chases. I want to see a decider. I want to see a decider. So
yeah, I do too. Which is why I'm gonna agree with you. I'd love to see Moeen Ali play one of his, roll back the clock.
We don't talk about that aspect a lot. Moeen Ali had to go through a lot in Sri Lanka. I cannot imagine what he went through. So.
Absolutely. You know what? If we went into the Moeen Ali saga, we'd be here for another 20 minutes. But we'll talk more about Moeen Ali another time. I promise. It's been a difficult time for him, but maybe he's gonna have some redemption in the next game. That's what Sritama Panda thinks. Our special guest today. Thank you so much again for joining us, guys. We're gonna be back on Friday for the second one-day international between India and England, the second last game of this mammoth tour that seems to never end, but is always very entertaining. In the meantime, like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, leave your comments as well. Say nice things about Armaan's hair and all those fans that are coming out for Anam and Armaan. Very, very nice. I love it. Keep coming through. We love those comments. And just recommend to anybody who enjoys it. And be nice to people. And for now, post-match chat is done.